Last year way out in Cleveland's Rolac led us forth to war, so that we could fight the Easterners at Pennsic number 4. We marched on out with knife and mace, with shortened axe and swords. The Eastern armies didn't, and that's how we won the war. 'Cause you can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest, the Eastern army learned to their dismay. No, you can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest, the extra steel keeps getting in your way. Mayor Walt, he sent the Harriers out to sneak and slash and run, to knock off Crown Prince Angus and to have a lot of fun. Our first footnote. Our two main characters in this first verse, one is Mayor Walt, now known as Duke Mayor Walt, one of the pillars of the kingdom of Traigh, but back in those days primarily known as Bozo the Count. Count Bozo was a man of immense will, so much so that one time when coming back from a hot summer's battle, he found his way impeded by the swimming pool. He did not want to go around, so he walked out, dropped to the bottom, walked across the swimming pool while still in full armor, and walked out the other side. Our other heavy at this point is Crown Prince Angus, who back in the days when men were basically cutting out an eye slit in a tin can and putting it on their head and calling that adequate head protection, was known for having a pig-faced bassinet, which is to say a heavy metal version of Woody Woodpecker. Long, pointy, snooty thing. These two men came to blows, hack, slash, slay, and somewhere during the course of it, Angus took Hocus a mighty smote upon the noggin, with such force that he fell backwards, ricocheted off the nearest tree, and fell face first into about 9 inches of polyunsaturated yuck, with such force that he became stuck in the quagmire. And it required the services of 2 burly squires to reach down and extricate him from the ooze. Back to our regularly scheduled story. To knock out Crown Prince Angus and to have a lot of fun, they laid their ambush cunningly and were sure they'd win the day, till they turned around and found the Eastern army in their way. You can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest, not even when it's planned as a surprise. No, you can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest. An ambush isn't very nice. Father Odin unleashed his wrath on us all through that grim campaign. He showered lightning bolts around and poured eternal rain. How bad was it?
How bad was it?
The local rivers had already reached the 50-year flood stage before the weekend happened, and then it rained about 9 inches during the actual event. It got so bad, apparently, that there were spiders migrating on top of the tents. Now, this wasn't so bad. The worst part about it was that they were taking lightning strikes within 50 feet of the camp. This is exciting. You try walking around in a metal suit in a lightning storm and see how excited you get in these situations. We thought it quite entrancing as we marched from bog to fen till we saw a soggy cinder where the sergeant should have been. You can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest, when all the heavens start to flame and spark. No, you can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest, unless you feel like glowing after dark. We met the Eastern army, they drawn up out there in the mud. We fell upon them in the woods and turned it red with blood. Oh, the fighting, it was vicious as we closed in hand to hand. And then we hit the beehive and the corpses jumped and ran. As you can imagine, this is the most important footnote of the song. Somewhere during the course of this battle, a gentle missed his intended target, scored a direct hit on a hive of something. Exactly what the something was remains a bone of contention until this very day. Bees, wasps, us yellow jackets, personally I believe the hive of the mythological northern oaken flying velociraptor had been found. Whatever the case may be, these little buggers were suddenly everywhere and they were taking revenge on anything that moved. Moonwolf himself apparently took a couple direct shots to the arm, but had the good fortune to continue the rest of the battle in this manner. He got off easy compared to 2 gentlemen who will remain nameless for obvious reasons. One good gentle, back in the day of really bad headgear, was known for having a beautiful Gothic spangle helm. It was beautiful, it was huge, it was ornate. It took 5 minutes to get on and off. That's not a good thing when you find out that your eye slits are big enough to let 2 of these little hummers in, but not big enough to let them out. He was last seen heading up the hill at about Mach 5, pounding out the anvil chorus on his temples, with an equally beautiful pair of Gothic gauntlets. It gets worse, folks. Somewhere during the course of this battle, a gentleman who shall remain nameless
Rhymes with cold comfort.
Took a direct hit in an area where no good gentle should ever have to contemplate taking a direct hit. After a rather loud and violent exclamation, he was basically heard saying, "I've been stung! I've been stung!" He was last seen headed up the hill at about Mach 0.5 in this general position, and bystanders claimed he was praying because he was uttering the name of the Christian Savior extremely loudly. You can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest, when your codpiece starts to swell and turns bright red. No, you can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest. The buzzing isn't coming from your head. We met the Eastern Army. Oh shoot! Can't forget the final verse. We met the Eastern Army way up out in the mud and damp. We could beat the Eastern Army, but we couldn't find the camp. To top everything else off, the Mid-Ram Army got lost. We finally made our way back home. And the final figures state, Middle Kingdom 3, East 2, and Mother Nature 48. Because you can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest. I'm sick of fighting as the rain pours down. No, you can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest. I like steel, but I don't want to drown. No, you can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest. Jump like a fish, jump like a fork. Nah, doesn't work for Moonwolf, doesn't work for me. You can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest. Oh, Yesu, Yesu! You can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest. Psst. Hey, bud, is that a pair of dry socks? I have $50 in this hand and a knife in this one. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. You can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest. I don't mind steel, but I don't want to drown.